Where were you born, Annie?
I was born in Alabama. Anderson.
Did you have a large family?
I had 4 sisters and a brother.
Were you rich?
No, sir. Farmer.
Did you work in the field?
Yes, sir.
How long?
All my life.
How old were you when you first got married?
16.
And how many times were you married?
5.
Why are you in the penitentiary now?
Well, the claims I killed my husband.
Which is your last husband?
Yes, sir.
Did they say you killed any more?
Yes,
Or your other husband? Which other?
Fred.
Did you?
No, sir.
How did they say you claimed they you killed her?
They claimed I poisoned them.
But you say you didn't poison?
I didn't.
In the shadows of American history lurk women who shattered the illusion of innocence, turning trust into terror and care into carnage. Welcome to The 5 Most Dangerous Women Serial Killers in the USA, where we uncover the chilling tales of 5 female predators whose crimes defied stereotypes and left a trail of devastation. From black widows to killer nurses, these stories reveal the dark side of deception and death. Let's dive in. Number 1. Aileen Wuornos born. Aileen Carol Pittman on February 29, 1956 in Rochester, Michigan. Aileen Wuornos entered a world stacked against her. Her father, Leo Pittman, a convicted child molester, abandoned the family before her birth and later died by suicide in prison. Her teenage mother, Diane, left Aileen and her brother Keith to their grandparents, Lori and Britta Wuornos, by age 4. But home was no haven. Lori, a violent alcoholic, physically disciplined Aileen, while rumors swirled of sexual abuse. By 11, Aileen traded sexual favors for cigarettes and money, expelled from school at 14 after a pregnancy. Her child, fathered possibly by a family friend, was given up for adoption. Homeless, she hitchhiked, surviving on the streets, her rage simmering. In 1976, at 20, Aileen married Louis Fell, a wealthy 69-year-old yacht club president in Florida. The marriage crumbled in 9 weeks. Louis filed for divorce, claiming Aileen beat him with his own cane. Her life spiraled, arrests for assault, armed robbery, and check forgery piled up. By 1986, she settled in Daytona Beach, working as a prostitute along Florida's highways. There, she met Tyria Moore, a hotel maid, sparking a volatile 4-year romance. Aileen supported them through sex work, her anger at men, rooted in years of abuse, festering. In 1989, her rage boiled over into murder. On December 1, 1989, Richard Mallory, a 51-year-old electronics shop owner, picked up Aileen along State Road 44. His body was found 12 days later in a wooded area near Ormond Beach, wrapped in a rubber mat, shot 4 times with a .22 caliber pistol. Aileen later claimed he tried to rape her, but his violent past as a sex offender wasn't known then. She kept his Cadillac, selling it for cash, and told Tyria she'd taken care of a problem. This wasn't self-defense. It was the start of a killing spree that would shock America. Over the next year, Aileen killed 6 more men, all Johns who picked her up for sex. David Spears, 43, construction worker, May 1990, shot 6 times. Charles Carskadden, 40, rodeo worker, May 1990, 9 bullets. Peter Seams, 65, missionary, June 1990, body never found but car traced to Aileen. Troy Burris, 50, sausage salesman, July 1990, 2 shots. Charles Dick Humphreys, 56, retired police chief, September 1990, 6 shots. And Walter Antonio, 62, trucker, November 1990, 4 shots. Each was lured to remote Florida spots, shot point blank, and robbed of cash, cars, and belongings. Aileen's .22 pistol became her signature, her victims' bodies dumped like trash, naked or half-clothed, left for animals. She and Tyria pawned their possessions, living off the proceeds. Aileen boasting to Tyria about her work. Police connected the dots by mid-1990 as bodies piled up along Florida's I-95 and I-75. Aileen's mistake came with Peter Siems's car. On July 4, 1990, she and Tyria crashed it in Orange Springs. Witnesses saw two women flee, and Aileen's palm print was lifted from the wreck. Fingerprints from pawned items and victim belongings soon matched hers, thanks to her prior arrests. By January 1991, sketches of Aileen and Tyria blanketed Florida media, dubbed the Damsel of Death case. Aileen, now a fugitive, drank heavily in bars, her paranoia mounting. On January 9, 1991, police arrested Aileen at the Last Resort, a biker bar in Port Orange, Florida, for an outstanding warrant. Tyria, tracked to Pennsylvania, cut a deal. No charges if she helped convict Aileen. In a recorded call, Tyria coaxed Aileen to confess, claiming she needed protection. Aileen, desperate to shield her lover, admitted to all 7 murders, insisting they were self-defense against rape or assault. But her stories wavered. Mallory's case held some plausibility, but others, like the elderly Peter Siems, strained belief. The media frenzy exploded. A female serial killer, defying every stereotype, gripped the nation. Aileen Wuornos wasn't just a killer, she was a paradox. A victim of abuse, yet a predator. A woman who claimed self-defense, yet killed with chilling efficiency. As her trial loomed, the world watched. Would her story of survival hold, or was she America's deadliest femme fatale? The courtroom would decide. In January 1992, Aileen Wuornos faced trial for Richard Mallory's murder, the first of her 7 confessed killings. The courtroom was a circus. Reporters, protesters, and curious onlookers packed the seats. Aileen's defense leaned on her traumatic past, childhood abuse, sexual violence from clients, and Mallory's alleged rape attempt. But the prosecution painted her as a cold-blooded predator, robbing and killing for profit. Evidence was damning. Aileen's fingerprints on pawned items, the .22 pistol recovered from a river, and Tyria Moore's testimony detailing Aileen's confessions. Tyria, granted immunity, described Aileen returning from jobs with victims' cars and cash, boasting about killings. Aileen's claim of self-defense crumbled when no evidence supported assault in most cases. Aileen's outbursts didn't help. She ranted at the jury, calling them scumbags, and flipped off the judge. On January 27, 1992, she was convicted of first-degree murder for Mallory's death, sentenced to death. Over the next year, she pleaded no contest to 5 more murders: Spears, Carskadden, Burris, Humphreys, and Antonio, earning 5 additional death sentences. For Peter Siems, whose body was never found, charges were dropped, but her car crash in his vehicle sealed her guilt. By 1993, Aileen faced 6 death sentences. A record for a female killer in the U.S. prison didn't dim Aileen's spotlight. Aileen claimed innocence, then recanted, admitting she killed for money or thrill. Her contradictions fascinated the public. Was she a victim driven to kill, or a monster exploiting her past? By 2001, her appeals exhausted, she demanded execution, saying, "I'm so sick of hearing this 'she's crazy' stuff. I killed them in cold blood." On October 9, 2002, at Florida State Prison, Aileen Wuornos, 46, was executed by lethal injection, the second woman executed in the U.S. since 1977. Her final words were cryptic. "I'll be back, like Independence Day, with Jesus June 6th, like the movie, big mothership and all." She left a legacy as complex as her life. 7 confirmed kills, a trail of stolen cars and lives, and a story that gripped the world. The 2003 film Monster, with Charlize Theron's Oscar-winning portrayal, cemented her infamy, grossing $60 million and sparking endless YouTube documentaries, podcasts like Casefile, and debates on #AileenWuornos. Aileen Wuornos redefined the serial killer archetype. Unlike Belle Gunness's calculated poisonings, Aileen's raw violence, shooting men point blank, shocked a society unused to female predators. Her 7 victims, killed in just 12 months, marked one of the fastest sprees in U.S. history. Was she a product of abuse, as feminists argued, or a remorseless killer, as prosecutors claimed? Studies, like those from the FBI's Behavioral Analysis Unit, note her borderline personality disorder and antisocial traits. Yet her story resonates because it defies easy answers. Aileen Wuornos remains a cultural lightning rod, a symbol of rage, victimhood, and defiance. Her story retold in books, films, and countless Reddit threads. She wasn't just a killer, she was a mirror to society's darkest corners. Number 2. Belle Gunness. In the rugged landscapes of Selbu, Norway, on November 11, 1859, Brynhild Paulsdatter Sturseth entered the world as the youngest of 8 children in a poor stonemason's family. Life was harsh, unforgiving, a grind of labor on neighboring farms from the tender age of 14. But Brynhild dreamed bigger. She saved every penny, her eyes set on the promise of America, the land of opportunity. In 1881, at 22, she boarded a ship bound for New York, processed through Castle Garden, and reinvented herself as Belle. Joining her older sister Nellie in Chicago, Belle worked as a domestic servant, her imposing frame, over 5 feet 7 inches tall and weighing up to 250 pounds, making her a force in any household. She even learned the butcher's trade, handling cleavers with unsettling ease. By 1884, Belle had married Mads Ditlev Anton Sørensen, a fellow Norwegian immigrant. They opened a confectionery store, dreaming of stability. But fate, or something darker, intervened. In 1896, their store burned to the ground. Insurance paid out handsomely. Then, in 1898, their home followed suit, another payout. Whispers circulated. Belle had never seemed pregnant, yet 2 of their infants died from acute colitis, symptoms eerily similar to strychnine poisoning. Insurance money flowed in after each tragedy. Mads himself met a mysterious end on July 30th, 1900, the only day his 2 life insurance policies overlapped. Officially, a cerebral hemorrhage from an enlarged heart. But strychnine mimics such symptoms, and Belle collected $8,500, a fortune equivalent to over $300,000 today. No autopsy was performed. The doctor trusted her word. Neighborhood gossip painted her as a black widow, but Belle dismissed it, packing up and heading to LaPorte, Indiana, where she bought a 43-acre pig farm with her windfall. LaPorte was a quiet town, perfect for Belle's next chapter. On April 1st, 1902, she wed Peter Gunness, a widower with 2 daughters. Tragedy struck swiftly. Peter's infant daughter died while alone with Belle, cause unknown. 8 months later, Peter himself perished in a bizarre accident. A sausage grinder allegedly fell from a high shelf, crushing his skull. Belle claimed it was a freak mishap, collecting $3,000 in insurance. A coroner's inquest suspected foul play, but no charges stuck. Peter's older daughter, Jenny Olsen, whom Belle adopted, vanished in 1906. Belle told neighbors Jenny had gone to a finishing school in Los Angeles. In truth, her body would later be unearthed on the farm. Now a wealthy widow, Belle turned to matrimonial ads in Norwegian-language newspapers, penning seductive pleas. Comely widow who owns a large farm in one of the finest districts in LaPorte County, Indiana, desires to make the acquaintance of a gentleman equally well provided with view of joining fortunes. Suitors arrived, cash in hand, lured by promises of love and prosperity. But they never left. Henry Gerholt, a Wisconsin farmer, visited in January 1905 with $1,500. He wrote home of his affection for the farm and Belle, then vanished. Bell told his family he'd joined horse traders heading west, keeping his trunk and fur coat. Belle's methods were calculated and brutal. She likely poisoned her victims with strychnine or arsenic, easy to obtain for rat control on a farm, mixed into meals or coffee. Symptoms: agonizing convulsions, foaming at the mouth, death in hours. For others, a swift blow from an axe or cleaver sufficed, skills honed from her butchering days. Bodies were dismembered, heads severed, arms at shoulders, legs at knees, wrapped in burlap sacks, and buried in shallow graves around the property, under the hog pen near the outhouse by a small lake. The hogs, fed scraps, might have consumed evidence. Trunks piled up in her home, over a dozen, filled with victims' belongings she pawned or kept. John Moe from Elbow Lake, Minnesota, answered an ad in 1906, withdrawing $1,000 before vanishing. Olaf Svenherud, Ola B. Budsberg, Olaf Lindblom, names etched in missing persons reports, their fates sealed on Belle's murder farm. She hired Ray Lamphere as a handyman in 1907, a jealous lover who witnessed her schemes but stayed silent, perhaps complicit. Belle's foster children, Myrtle, Lucy, and Philip, lived in fear, unaware their mother was a monster amassing a fortune through death. As 1908 dawned, Andrew Helgalian from Aberdeen, South Dakota, arrived with $2,900, responding to Belle's urgent letters. Come prepared to stay forever. He did, buried in pieces. But Andrew's brother Assel grew suspicious, tracing letters to Laporte. Belle sensed the noose tightening. She fired Lamphere, accusing him of threats, and visited a lawyer to draft her will, ominously stating, "I'm afraid he's going to burn my house down." On the night of April 27, 1908, flames lit the sky. By morning, the Gunness home was ash. 4 bodies emerged, 3 children charred beyond recognition, and a headless adult woman. Was it Belle? The town buzzed with horror and curiosity. But Asla Helgalian arrived, shovel in hand, demanding answers. What he uncovered would shock the nation. The fire that razed Belle Gunness's farmhouse wasn't just destruction, it was the spark that ignited one of America's most gruesome revelations. As dawn broke on April 28, 1908, neighbors and authorities sifted through the debris. They found 4 bodies: Belle's foster children, Myrtle, 11, Lucy, 9, and Philip, 5, all poisoned and burned. The 4th was a decapitated woman, 5 inches shorter and 50 pounds lighter than Belle's robust frame. No head was recovered, fueling immediate doubts. Was this Belle, or a cleverly planted decoy? Autopsies revealed strychnine in the children's stomachs, but the woman's identity remained a puzzle. Ray Lamphere, Belle's former handyman and spurned lover, was arrested that day, found wearing victim John Moe's overcoat and Henry Gerholt's watch. Charged with arson and murder, he became the scapegoat. But Asla Helgalian, driven by grief for his brother Andrew, refused to leave. Armed with Belle's letters urging Andrew to come prepared to stay forever and burn his correspondence, Assel directed digs in the hog pen. On May 3rd, they struck horror. Andrew's dismembered body, head wrapped in burlap, identified by his brother. The floodgates opened. Over the next days, the farm yielded a macabre harvest. At least 11 partial remains surfaced: men, women, children, butchered with precision, skulls bashed, limbs severed, torsos hacked. Jenny Olsen's body, missing since 1906, emerged alongside others. Police found parts of 5 bodies on day 1, 6 more the next, then stopped counting as fragments piled up. Estimates soared: 14 confirmed victims, possibly 40 or more, including Belle's husbands, children, and lured suitors like Ole B. Budsberg, identified by his sons via dental work, and Olaf Lindblom. The methods screamed calculation: poison for subtlety, axe for finality, dismemberment to hide evidence. Belle had turned her farm into a slaughterhouse, profiting from insurance, stolen cash, and pawned goods, amassing over $30,000, nearly $1 million today. The scene descended into pandemonium. Up to 15,000 curiosity seekers flocked daily, turning the site into a grotesque carnival. Vendors sold popcorn and lemonade. Relic hunters scavenged bones. A local sheriff, possibly bribed by Belle, had turned a blind eye, though unaware of the scale. Lamphere's trial in November 1908 revealed more. Convicted of arson, but acquitted of murder, he confessed on his deathbed in 1910 that Belle had murdered 42 men, using ads to lure them. She allegedly asked him to burn the house with her children inside, planting a victim's body, perhaps a transient woman, to fake her death. Lamphere claimed she withdrew $4,000 from banks days before, fleeing in disguise, perhaps as a man given her build. Did Belle perish in the flames, or orchestrate the ultimate escape? The headless corpse's discrepancies, height, weight, even bridgework not matching Belle's, pointed to deception. Sightings poured in: Chicago, San Francisco, even Norway. In 1931, a woman named Esther Carlson died in Los Angeles, arrested for poisoning a suitor. Photos resembled an aged Belle, but no DNA linked them. Theories abound. She lived as a fugitive, perhaps killing more, or died naturally, her secrets buried. In 2008, University of Indianapolis forensic experts exhumed the body for DNA testing against a letter envelope licked by Belle. Results? Inconclusive due to degraded samples. The enigma endures. Belle Gunness shattered stereotypes. A female killer driven by greed, not passion, one of history's deadliest. Her farm, dubbed Murder Farm, inspired ballads, books like America's Femme Fatale, films such as 2004's Method with Elizabeth Hurley, and podcasts like My Favorite Murder. She remains a chilling reminder: evil wears many faces, even that of a comely widow. Number 3. Nannie Doss, born Nancy Hazel on November 4, 1905 in Anniston, Alabama.
Where were you born, Ann?
I was born in Alabama. And
Did you have a large family?
I had 4 sisters and a brother.
Were you rich?
No, sir. Farmer.
Did you work in the field?
Yes, sir.
Oh.
All my life.
How old were you when you first got married?
16,
And how many times were you married?
5.
Why are you in the penitentiary now?
Well, the claims I killed my husband.
Which, your last husband?
Yes, sir.
Did they say you killed any more?
Yes,
Or your other husband? Which other?
3 of them.
Did you?
No, sir.
How did they say you claimed they say you killed her?
They claimed I poisoned them.
But you say you didn't poison her?
I didn't.
Nannie Doss grew up in a world of hardscrabble farming and strict discipline. One of 5 children, her childhood was marred by poverty and a controlling father, James, who forbade schooling past 6th grade to keep her working the fields. At 7, a train accident left her with chronic headaches, later blamed for her dark impulses. Nannie escaped into romance magazines, dreaming of a fairy tale love that would define and doom her life. By 16, she married Charlie Braggs, a co-worker, seeking that dream. But reality was grim. Charlie's domineering mother lived with them, and 4 daughters arrived in quick succession. 2 infants died in 1927 under mysterious circumstances, their deaths ruled as crib death. Insurance payouts followed. Whispers of poison surfaced, but no proof. By 1928, Charlie Braggs sensed something off. Nannie's cheerful facade, her giggles, her baking, hid a growing resentment. After their 2 middle daughters died, Charlie fled, taking their eldest daughter, Melvina, leaving Nannie with baby Florine. Divorce followed in 1929, but Nannie, undeterred, married again that year to Robert Harrelson, a 23-year-old from Jacksonville, Alabama. Their marriage soured as Harrelson drank and grew abusive. In 1929, Nannie's 2-year-old grandson Robert died in her care after eating her homemade prunes, symptoms pointing to arsenic poisoning. No one suspected the doting grandmother. Harrelson himself died in 1937, stabbed after a drunken fight, though Nannie later claimed she poisoned him for insurance money. Another payout, another fresh start. Nannie's charm, petite, chatty, always baking, made her a magnet for men. She turned to Lonely Hearts columns seeking the perfect husband. In 1938, she married Frank Harrelson in Alabama. But Frank was another drunk, racking up debts. In 1943, another grandson, Edward, died in Nannie's care, convulsing after a bottle she fed him. Doctors called it asphyxia. Nannie collected $500 from his life insurance. 2 years later, in 1945, Frank Harrelson died after drinking Nannie's corn whiskey, laced with rat poison. His death, ruled a heart attack, netted her another insurance check. Nannie moved on, her giggles masking a chilling pattern. By the 1940s, Nannie's method was refined. Arsenic, odorless and tasteless, slipped into coffee, prunes, or stew. Symptoms, nausea, convulsions, death, mimicked natural causes, and rural doctors rarely dug deeper. She married Arnie Lanning in 1947 in North Carolina. Within 2 years, he was dead, poisoned after a string of hospitalizations for stomach issues. Insurance money flowed. Nannie's own mother, Lou, moved in to help in 1950 and died weeks later, writhing from a poisoned meal. That same year, Nannie's sister Dovie, bedridden, succumbed after Nannie's caregiving. No autopsies, no suspicions, just Nannie's crocodile tears and more cash. In 1952, Nannie joined a Lonely Hearts Club, the Diamond Circle, and met Richard Morton, a charming retiree in Kansas. They married, but Morton's flirtations with other women irked her. By January 1953, he was dead, poisoned with arsenic-laced coffee. Nannie, ever the grieving widow, pocketed his assets. Her fifth husband, Samuel Doss, came next in 1953, a church-going man from Tulsa, Oklahoma. Samuel was strict, banning Nannie's beloved romance magazines. She left him briefly, then returned, promising devotion. Weeks later, he was hospitalized with flu-like symptoms. Released, he ate Nannie's peach pie and died in October 1953, his stomach laced with arsenic, 10 times the lethal dose. Samuel Doss's death was Nannie's undoing. His doctor, suspicious of the rapid decline, ordered an autopsy. Arsenic was found, undeniable. Police arrested Nannie in Tulsa on October 12, 1954. Under questioning, her giggles turned chilling as she confessed to killing 4 husbands, her mother, sister, grandson, and others. 11 confirmed victims, possibly more. Her motive? Not just money, but a twisted pursuit of the perfect love her magazines promised, killing those who disappointed her. The Giggling Granny was born in headlines, a moniker that horrified and fascinated America. Nannie Doss, the charming grandmother, had woven a web of death across decades. As her trial approached, the nation grappled with a question. How could a woman so warm, so ordinary, be so deadly? The answer lay in her past, and the poison she perfected. In May 1955, Nannie Doss faced trial for the murder of Samuel Doss, her 5th husband. The courtroom buzzed with disbelief. A grandmotherly woman, always smiling, accused of poisoning 11 people. Prosecutors presented a mountain of evidence. Samuel's autopsy showed arsenic levels 10 times lethal, and Nannie's confession detailed her methods with chilling nonchalance. She admitted to lacing food and drink with rat poison bought at local stores for vermin. Her defense claimed insanity, citing her childhood head injury and lifelong headaches. But Nannie's lucid recounting, giggling as she described dosing her husbands, undermined the plea. The jury, horrified, convicted her of first-degree murder on May 17, 1955, sentencing her to life in prison. Oklahoma's reluctance to execute women spared her the death penalty. Nannie's confession didn't stop at Samuel. In jail, she admitted to killing 4 husbands. Charlie Bragg survived, but Robert Harrelson, Frank Harrelson, Arnie Lanning, and Richard Morton didn't. She confessed to poisoning her mother, Lou, her sister Dovie, her grandson Robert, and others, totaling 11 confirmed victims. Her motive? A warped quest for romance novel perfection, killing men who drank, cheated or bored her, and family who burdened her. Insurance payouts, $500 here, $2,000 there, funded her fresh starts. She used arsenic, readily available, mixing it into prunes, coffee, or pies, watching victims writhe with a smile. Her calm demeanor in confessing stunned detectives, one noting, "She laughed like she was at a picnic." The media frenzy was relentless. Dubbed the Giggling Granny for her eerie laughter, Nannie became a national sensation. Life magazine ran exposés. Newspapers called her America's Deadliest Widow. She reveled in the attention, writing chatty letters to reporters and even advising women, "Don't marry a drunk." Unlike Aileen Wuornos' raw rage or Belle Gunness' calculated butchery, Nannie's domestic charm, baking, gardening, giggling, made her crimes uniquely chilling. She killed those closest to her, betraying the trust of family and husbands, her poison as subtle as her smile. Sentenced to life at Oklahoma State Penitentiary, Nannie remained unrepentant, charming guards with her wit. On June 2, 1965, at 59, she died of leukemia in the prison hospital, her laughter silenced. Her body count, 11 confirmed, possibly more, ranks her among America's deadliest women. Her story inspired TV shows like Deadly Women, 2008, podcasts like My Favorite Murder. Nannie Doss defied the serial killer mold. Her victims weren't strangers like Aileen Wuornos's, nor buried en masse like Belle Gunness's. She killed intimately, with poison, in the heart of the home. Kitchens, bedrooms, nurseries. FBI profiles note her narcissistic traits and obsession with control, fueled by romantic fantasies. Her case, spanning Alabama, North Carolina, Kansas, and Oklahoma from 1927 to 1953, exposed the dangers of unchecked arsenic sales and lax autopsies in rural America. The sweet grandmother who poisoned her own. Nannie Doss remains a paradox, a woman who baked pies and brewed death, her giggles echoing as a warning. She wasn't just a killer, she was the shadow of domesticity gone wrong, a nightmare in a floral apron. Number 4. Dorothea Puente born.
Grandmotherly landlady is the prime suspect as Sacramento police begin the gruesome task, digging up the side yard of an apartment house.
Police digging in the front and backyards of the boarding house have now found 7 victims, and they fear that more bodies will be located as the digging continues.
Dorothea Montalvo Puente was questioned Friday after the first body was found, but later released.
Are there any other bodies?
I haven't killed anyone. My conscience is not bothering me, but I have nothing to hide. I'm an old lady. I couldn't drag a body anyplace.
She looked like the woman next door or anybody's grandmother. She definitely didn't look like a serial killer.
Born Dorothea Helen Gray on January 9th, 1929, in Redlands, California, Dorothea Puente's early life was steeped in hardship. One of 7 children, she lost her father to tuberculosis at age 8 and her mother to a car accident a year later. Shuffled between orphanages and relatives, Dorothea endured abuse and neglect, dropping out of school at 16. By her teens, she turned to petty crime, forging checks, prostitution, to survive. At 17, she married Fred McFall, a soldier. Bearing 2 daughters, she gave up for adoption. The marriage collapsed by 1948, launching a pattern of failed unions and fraud. Dorothea's charm, petite, well-dressed, with a warm smile, masked a growing knack for deception. Dorothea's life became a carousel of marriages and scams. She married Axel Johansson in 1952, divorcing after 14 years of her arrests for vagrancy and running a brothel. In 1968, she wed Roberto Puente, a younger man in Mexico, but their volatile union ended by 1969. She adopted his surname, crafting a persona as a caring nurse or social worker despite no formal training. By the 1970s, Dorothea ran boarding houses in Sacramento, taking in elderly, disabled, or transient tenants, those society overlooked. Her 16-room Victorian at 1426 F Street became a haven for the vulnerable, offering home-cooked meals and a grandmotherly smile. But beneath the hospitality lurked a deadly scheme. By 1982, Dorothea's boarding house was a revolving door for society's cast-offs, alcoholics, mentally ill, or elderly on Social Security. She pocketed their checks, giving them small allowances while promising care. But tenants began disappearing. In 1982, Ruth Monroe, a 61-year-old friend who moved in, died suddenly after flu-like symptoms. Dorothea claimed suicide. No autopsy was performed. She kept cashing Monroe's checks. Neighbors noticed Dorothea's handyman, Ismael Flores, digging in the backyard, allegedly for landscaping. In truth, he was burying bodies under her direction, unaware of their contents. Dorothea's weapon of choice was Dalmane, a sedative she obtained through forged prescriptions mixed into meals or drinks, causing overdoses that mimicked heart failure or illness. Between 1982 and 1988, Dorothea killed at least 9 tenants, possibly more, targeting those with no family to notice their absence. Yvonne Green, 78, died in 1985 after moving in. Her Social Security checks kept arriving. James Gallup, 62, vanished in 1986. His benefits funded Dorothea's lifestyle. Leona Carpenter, 80, and Bert Montoya, a mentally disabled man, followed, their bodies buried in the backyard. Dorothea forged signatures, cashing over $60,000 in checks while living lavishly. New clothes, perfume, even plastic surgery to maintain her youthful facade. She hired ex-convicts as handymen, paying them to dig trash pits that hid her crimes. Neighbors saw her gardening at odd hours, but her charm deflected suspicion. In 1987, social worker Peggy Nickerson grew wary when Bert Montoya vanished. Dorothea claimed he'd returned to Mexico, but his caseworker pressed police. On November 7, 1988, officers visited 1426 F Street, finding Dorothea cooperative, her home spotless. But a tip from a tenant who'd seen strange digging led to a search warrant. On November 11th, police dug up the backyard, unearthing 7 bodies wrapped in plastic and blankets, some doused with lime to mask decay. Dorothea, unfazed, sipped tea as cops questioned her, claiming ignorance. Then she fled, a suitcase packed with cash. Dorothea Puente, the kindly landlady, had turned her boarding house into a graveyard. As police uncovered her victims, Sacramento reeled. The death house landlady was on the run, but her reign of poison and greed was crumbling. The nation awaited her capture and her story. On November 17, 1988, Dorothea Puente's flight ended at a seedy Los Angeles motel. A tipster recognized her from TV broadcasts, alerting police. She'd approached him, posing as a kindly retiree, offering to cook dinner, a chilling echo of her deadly hospitality. Arrested without resistance, Dorothea maintained her innocence, claiming the bodies in her yard were from natural causes or suicides. Back in Sacramento, the excavation continued. 7 confirmed victims: Alvaro Bert Montoya, Leona Carpenter, Dorothy Miller, Benjamin Fink, James Gallup, Vera Martin, and Betty Palmer, plus 2 others linked to her, including Ruth Monroe. Autopsies revealed lethal levels of Dalmane, a sedative Dorothea stockpiled, mixed with alcohol or food to induce fatal overdoses. Her backyard was a mass grave, her home a crime scene. Dorothea's trial began in February 1993 in Monterey, California, moved due to media frenzy. Charged with 9 murders, she faced a jury stunned by her grandmotherly demeanor, white hair, soft voice, tailored dresses. Prosecutors detailed her scheme, targeting elderly or disabled tenants, drugging them with Dalmane, and cashing their Social Security checks, totaling over $5,000 monthly. She buried bodies to avoid suspicion, using lime and dirt to hide decay. Her defense argued the deaths were natural, with no direct proof Dorothea administered the drugs. But testimony from surviving tenants and handyman Ismael Flores, who admitted digging graves unknowingly, painted a damning picture. Dorothea's calm denials, calling herself a good person, only deepened the jury's unease. On August 26, 1993, after months of testimony, Dorothea was convicted of 3 first-degree murders, Montoya, Miller, and Fink, due to conclusive toxicology. The jury deadlocked on 6 others, but 3 convictions brought life without parole. At 64, she was sent to Chowchilla's Central California Women's Facility. Unlike Aileen Wuornos's fiery defiance or Nannie Doss's eerie giggles, Dorothea remained composed, insisting she never killed nobody. Yet evidence suggested up to 15 victims, her crimes spanning 6 years, exploiting society's most vulnerable for profit. Dorothea's story gripped the nation. Dubbed the Death House Landlady, she became a true crime icon, featured in documentaries like Crime Stories, 2000, and Investigation Discovery's Killer Psyche, 2022. Dorothea's denials fueled fascination. Her case exposed gaps in social services, how easily tenants' deaths went unquestioned, prompting reforms in California's boarding house oversight. On March 27, 2011, Dorothea Puente died at 82 of natural causes in prison. Her 9 confirmed kills, possibly more, marked her as one of America's deadliest women. Her Victorian house at 1426 F Street, now a grim landmark, draws true crime tourists. Her method, poisoning the elderly for profit, set her apart from Aileen Wuornos's violent spree or Nannie Doss's domestic betrayals. Dorothea exploited trust, turning care into a death trap. Dorothea Puente redefined the serial killer archetype. Her victims, society's forgotten, died in the heart of her safe haven. FBI profiles highlight her sociopathic cunning, using her nurturing image to prey on trust. Her case, spanning 1982 to 1988, exposed the vulnerability of the elderly and disabled, resonating in 2025 as elder abuse awareness grows. YouTube analytics show her story driving 8% of true crime traffic, fueled by its chilling premise: a landlady who buried her tenants. Dorothea wasn't just a killer, she was a predator cloaked in kindness, her legacy a warning of betrayal behind a smile. Number 5. Genene Jones.
The walker used by Genene Jones Monday was replaced Thursday with a wheelchair. The 67-year-old, while arraigned inside 399th District Court, also wore a surgical mask, though officials refused to say why. The front row filled by family members of babies who would now be in their mid-30s. Their lives instead, according to prosecutors, ended by a woman who personifies evil.
Born on July 13, 1950 in San Antonio, Texas, Genene Ann Jones grew up in a turbulent household, adopted by a nightclub owner and his wife. The loss of a sibling in her teens fueled her fascination with medicine, dreaming of heroism as a nurse. But beneath her ambition lay a darker impulse. After a brief marriage and 2 children, Genene trained as a licensed vocational nurse, LVN, by 1977, working in San Antonio hospitals. Her brash demeanor, chatty, confident, yet quick to anger, clashed with colleagues, but her skill with patients, especially infants, earned trust. By 1981, she joined the Pediatric Intensive Care Unit, PICU, at Bezar County Medical Center, a fateful step toward infamy. In the Pediatric Intensive Care Unit, Genene thrived in chaos, volunteering for the toughest shifts. But whispers grew. Infants under her care suffered unexplained seizures or cardiac arrests. Between 1981 and 1982, At least 11 babies died in her unit, far above normal rates. Genene was often the first to respond, reviving infants and earning praise as a hero. Suspicion mounted when she was linked to every incident. Her weapon, drugs like digoxin, a heart medication, or succinylcholine, a paralytic injected in tiny doses to trigger crises. Symptoms: rapid heart failure, respiratory distress, mimicked natural causes, and Genene's quick interventions deflected blame. She craved the spotlight of saving lives, even if it meant creating the emergencies. Chelsea McClellan, a 15-month-old, became Genene's most infamous victim. On September 17, 1982, Chelsea visited Dr. Kathleen Holland's Kerrville clinic, where Genene had moved after leaving Bexar. During a routine visit, Chelsea seized, her heart stopping. Genene tried to save her, but the toddler died en route to the hospital. An autopsy found traces of succinylcholine, a drug not prescribed. Dr. Holland, suspicious, alerted authorities. Earlier, at Bexar, infants like Joshua Sawyer, 11 months, and Rolando Santos, 3 weeks, died under Genene's care, with digoxin levels 10 times normal. Parents trusted her. Doctors missed the signs. Estimates suggest up to 60 infants died by her hand, though only 2 were proven due to lost records and lax oversight. Colleagues called her the death nurse. Babies coded on her shifts at an alarming rate. Some nights, multiple deaths. In 1981, Bexar's PICU saw a spike. 42 deaths in a year, compared to 10 to 15 previously. Genene's personnel file noted unprofessional conduct, but no one acted. She kept vials of digoxin and succinylcholine in her pocket, against protocol, and was seen injecting infants during quiet moments. Her motive, per FBI profiles, was Munchausen syndrome by proxy, a need for attention through medical heroics. Unlike Dorothea Puente's greed or Aileen Wuornos' rage, Genene's crimes were a twisted bid for control, targeting the most vulnerable, infants who couldn't speak. In 1982, Bexar fired Genene for insubordination, not murder, fearing lawsuits. She joined Dr. Holland's clinic, where Chelsea's death triggered scrutiny. By 1983, a grand jury investigated, uncovering a pattern. Infants died or coded only when Genene was on duty. Hospital records, suspiciously incomplete, hid the full toll. On June 22, 1983, police arrested Genene at her San Antonio apartment, finding syringes and drug vials. Parents like Chelsea's mother, Petty McClellan, were devastated, having trusted the nurse who killed their child. Genene Jones, the nurse who vowed to save lives, had become an angel of death. As her trial loomed, Texas grappled with a nightmare, a caregiver who killed in the cradle. The nation demanded answers. How many died, and how was she stopped? In February 1984, Genene Jones faced trial for the murder of 15-month-old Chelsea McClellan. The Kerrville courtroom was electric. Parents wept, nurses testified, and media swarmed. Prosecutors presented damning evidence. Succinylcholine in Chelsea's blood, a rare paralytic not used in her treatment. Genene's defense claimed contamination or medical error, but her history at Bexar County Medical Center told a different story. Witnesses, including Dr. Kathleen Holland, recounted infants coding only on Genene's shifts. Nurse Susanna Maldonado testified seeing Genene inject an infant without orders, followed by a seizure. The prosecution argued Genene induced crises to play hero, driven by a need for attention rooted in Munchausen syndrome by proxy. Genene was convicted on February 15, 1984, for Chelsea's murder, sentenced to 99 years. A second trial in 1985 for injuring Rolando Santos with digoxin added 60 years to run concurrently. Prosecutors linked her to at least 11 deaths at Bexar, possibly 60, but lost records and destroyed evidence. Bexar shredded 9,000 files in 1982, limited charges. The hospital settled lawsuits with families for millions, admitting negligence and oversight. Genene, stoic in court, denied everything, claiming she was a scapegoat for medical errors. But her pattern, stockpiling drugs, targeting infants, thriving on chaos, was undeniable. Genene's conviction didn't end the horror. Parents like Petty McClellan campaigned for justice, believing dozens more infants died. In 2017, as Genene neared parole eligibility due to Texas's early release laws, prosecutors reopened cases. In 2018, she pleaded guilty to 5 more attempted murders, receiving life without parole to ensure she'd never walk free. Sent to Huntsville's Lane Murray unit, Genene, now 75, remains a chilling figure. Unlike Nannie Doss's domestic poisonings or Dorothea Puente's greed, Genene's crimes exploited medical trust, killing babies for ego. Genene Jones's legacy is one of betrayal. Her estimated 60 victims, only 2 proven, make her one of America's deadliest serial killers. Her case, spanning 1981 to 1982, exposed hospital vulnerabilities, lax drug controls, ignored warnings, and fear of liability. Her case prompted reforms, tighter drug tracking, mandatory incident reporting, yet the scars remain. Parents who lost babies, nurses who trusted her, a system that failed. Genene wasn't just a killer. She was a predator in scrubs, her legacy a warning of trust betrayed in the heart of care. Subscribe to True Crime Drop for more unfiltered true crime drops, and drop a comment on which killer shocked you most. Stay curious, stay safe. Until next time, we've dropped the truth.